These are the directions for the book study. If you choose to complete this assignment, keep in mind this is a higher level um, process here as far as understanding the information and being able to narrow down the author's main point within one or two sentences. So you want to use the books that are on the list. Do not deviate from the list and try to select the book that I did not read. You want to focus on these three questions in your essay. What is the central focus of the book? Primarily, this is the author's thesis. What is the author's main point? You want to be able to sum this up in 1 to 2 sentences. If you're writing more than that, then you are giving me too much filler information. You want to be able to narrow this down. The author's point of view is this. What is your opinion of the book? I'm going to skip. You want to take that thesis and then figure out, do you agree or disagree with it? Maybe that's one route to go. But ultimately, it is asking you your opinion of the book. What historic themes are in the book? This is a little more challenging. Historic themes, you want to think about the items that the author addresses. So you have your thesis, the author's main argument, and then, I don't know, you want to identify 1 to 2 or 3 themes that are addressed throughout the book. They probably are items that the author is going to constantly go back to throughout the writing. I'll give you some examples later on. Thesis. So you still need a thesis. You cannot use the author's thesis. You do need to come up with a thesis. I don't know. It's going to be rooted in your answer to these questions that are here. Ultimately, this is about how you process the information. The themes, it tells you here, you need to present at least 3 themes in order to score, full credit for this. Then for the most part, you're just graded like all of the other essay assignments. One of the difference, you do not need to have additional sources. You can bring in additional sources if you think that helps your argument. Format, one thesis sentence fulfills question 1, first paragraph, question 2, historic theme. So this is kind of giving you the guide here as far as what I want you to come up with. Like I said, one thesis sentence. You need to be able to narrow down the focus, and you're trying to narrow down an entire book. It's not that easy to do. So here we see the topics broken down: World War I, World War II, Cold War. So what you want to do, let's say you decide to write about Charlie Wilson's War. So Charlie Wilson's War, you want to be able to sum up the author's thesis, whatever that thesis may be, and then you want to be able to identify some of the themes. So here we have theme 1, theme 2, and theme 3. Now, the thesis here, without giving away too much information, for the most part, the author is writing about the Soviet-Afghan War and the role that a congressman by the name of Charlie Wilson, what role did he play in directly and indirectly helping one side fighting the Spanish-American or the Soviet-Afghan War? Some of the themes that come up. Now, the author, throughout the book, you come away with an understanding that the work in this Soviet-Afghan War, in some indirect way, connects us to 9/11. So 9/11 is one of the themes that are in this particular piece here. So that would be one of the themes that you would probably want to be able to identify. I'm not going to be able to do too many of these because the more I do, then that's going to be, less, students are going to have all of the answers. But you want to be able to pick up on those themes. Think of them like, mini thesis points that the author is using to support their overall thesis. I don't know of any other way to really explain that. Keep in mind that some of these are different because this is a series of an oral history about Black veterans in the Vietnam War. So we have the author's thesis, but you don't really have a thesis because it's a collection of oral histories. It's this veteran's story, another veteran's story about their experience in the Vietnam War as an African American U.S. soldier fighting in that conflict. One of the themes in that particular book is discrimination. Just comes up throughout the book, and so the authors, even though they don't really have a thesis, you still should be able to narrow down what that thesis would be if it's not presented in the intro and in a prologue or in an epilogue of the actual book. I don't recall which books have that information. So you still should be able to piece together some sort of thesis. What's the collection of stories? What are they telling you about the event? For example, here's another one that I just saw, Killing Fields. This is about the Cambodian genocide. So, this one, I do remember the author, who was somebody who had survived. They do have a section of the book where the author who collects these stories puts these, gives his overall thought. So that right there would be your thesis, or you could generate a thesis based on the common, events that are addressed in that particular piece. And then you want to branch out your themes. Maybe one of the themes is that they went after capitalists, or that they tortured individuals, because this is about genocide. Are they talking about the methods? So it's going to range. You'll pick up on them after you've read done reading the book. These are items that the author is going to constantly go back to. Let's see. Generation theories. That's pretty much it. So you want to be able to identify the themes, in the book, but because there's so many different, books here, it might be a little more challenging than that. Let's see. End of White Supremacy by Malcolm X. I believe this is a series of speeches from Malcolm X. So Malcolm X, in those speeches, does have an overall thesis. You might want to be able to piece that together based on your reading. I don't remember if that one has an epilogue or anything like that. So you have the speeches, and you just want to identify what are the common items being addressed in those collection of speeches. Is he talking about separation? What is his view on white America? What is his view on Black America? I don't know. Maybe these are items that constantly come up, and that's what I want you to focus on. The items that constantly come up, 1, 2, 3, and then how those 3 themes identified support the overall thesis. That's it for this assignment.